just a taste of the dramatic scene at Queen's Park last night and early this morning. In a stunning show of solidarity against a government that has taken aim at Toronto, protesters stayed here chanting and banging until the early morning, doing everything they can to make their voices heard. Some of them even arrested and fined, but they say it was all worth it. The fiery objections came early, anger and disappointment echoing through the legislature. Just an hour into a 6.5-hour debate, half a dozen people already kicked out.
It's enraging. It's a public gallery. It's where the people are supposed to be. It should never be empty, as far as I'm concerned. That's our space within our house.
Outside what started as a fairly peaceful gathering quickly turned chaotic after those waiting in line to enter the legislature were turned away due to a lack of space. Andrea Adams was one of them.
Which to me is an indication of how disrespectful and cowardly Premier Ford and his caucus are, that they would push through controversial legislation in the dead of night with as little observation as possible.
Only one gallery was open to the public, and even that one was eventually closed.
While they have the right to protest, they certainly don't have the right to disrupt the proceedings in the legislature the way that they were. Some of them were using very, very coarse language.
In an attempt to get in, Adams slipped through the doors anyways and paid the price.
Yes, they pushed me against the wall and put handcuffs on me, and they held me for an hour. And that was the price of my participation in democracy last night.
Eventually, the protests got so loud they could be heard inside the legislature.
Let me tell you, even though the debates are going on right now and they're not letting you go inside, we can hear you loud.
Opposition leader Andrea Horwath felt compelled to come outside and address the crowd.
Everybody knows, even children know, you don't change the rules of the game in the middle of the game.
And even though the huge turnout was unlike anything some MPPs have ever seen.
So I've never seen anything like it. I'm saddened by it. I think it's indicative of how disappointed and upset and concerned people are, and not just here in Toronto, but across the province.
At least one protester says more needs to be done.
I think we should have more people here, and I think that more people should be concerned about this. Because the fact that they can hear us, I hope that they are feeling ashamed of what they're doing, but I don't know if that's having an effect on the actual proceedings.
A lot of those protesters last night expressing their concerns over a lack of representation. Under a 25-ward system, each councillor would represent 110,000 people. By comparison, that is like one city councillor representing all of the city of Kingston. Now, we have crunched the numbers on how Toronto compares to other cities across Ontario. You can find that as part of our ongoing political coverage on citynews.ca.